Hello, basketball people, we have news. Let's go to more news about the Golden State Warriors. I ask you to give a thumbs up and subscribe to my channel, as I am a Warriors fan. The Warriors are reportedly linked to signing Al Horford and Malcolm Brogdon, who would be two great additions to the roster because the Warriors would have more depth and a quality rotation. Warriors could reunite two former Celtics in major free agency signings. They had a successful year together in 2022-23, Yuli 22-2025. Having not made a single move since the start of free agency over 3 weeks ago, the Golden State Warriors still have a host of moves to make once the Jonathan Kuminga domino eventually falls. Part of their potential free agency signings could see the reunion of two former teammates at the Boston Celtics, with the Warriors having shown interest in veteran duo Al Horford and now Malcolm Brogdon. The Warriors could reunite Al Horford and Malcolm Brogdon. Horford has been the biggest name linked to the Warriors since before free agency even begun. While no confirmed signing has taken place, much to the frustration of Golden State fans, there's been no indication that the 39-year-old will end up anywhere other than the Bay Area. NBA insider Mark Stein reiterated that on Sunday night, with the wide-held belief that the Warriors have handshake agreements in place with Horford and former guard DeAnthony Melton. "We are indeed 3 full weeks into free agency now, but I still expect Al Horford and DeAnthony Melton to wind up in Golden State when their signing commitments are made public and official," Stein wrote. Interest in Brogdon has more so emerged in recent days, perhaps stemming from the fact that Golden State missed out on multi-time All-Stars Bradley Beal and Damian Lillard, who signed with the LA Clippers and Portland Trail Blazers last week. NBA insider Jake Fisher reported late last week that Golden State are one of multiple teams still interested in Brogdon, while Brett Siegel of Clutch Points heard the 32-year-old linked to the franchise during his time on the ground in Las Vegas for Summer League. Horford's time with the Celtics has been memorable, including winning his long-awaited first championship with the franchise last year. Brogdon's time in Boston was much more short-lived, but it also represents one of the best seasons of his career from an individual and team standpoint. After losing to the Warriors in the 2022 NBA Finals, the Celtics traded for Brogdon, who accepted a sixth-man role following years of starting for the Milwaukee Bucks and Indiana Pacers. He immediately thrived, averaging 14.9 points, 4.2 rebounds, and 3.7 assists on an efficient 48.4% shooting from the floor and career-best 44.4% from three-point range. Brogdon subsequently won Sixth Man of the Year as Boston reached a 57-25 record and the second seed in the Eastern Conference, while Horford also coincidentally shot a career-high 44.6% from beyond the arc in the same season. It remains to be seen whether the Warriors will add both Horford and Brogdon, but there will at least be a sense of familiarity if both were to arrive to training camp together in October. Al Horford's exit from Celtics all but confirmed. The Celtics have enjoyed Al Horford's time in Boston, but it seems like it's coming to a close this offseason. Veteran center Al Horford has been a calming presence within the Boston Celtics locker room for nearly half of his 18-year career. However, the C's might not be able to rely on him for much longer. The 39-year-old is currently an unrestricted free agent and has reportedly grown very friendly with the Golden State Warriors this summer. Although no deal has been confirmed yet, Clutch Points NBA insider Brett Siegel said that Horford, as well as free agent guard DeAnthony Melton, recently reached a verbal agreement with the Dubs. Al Horford and DeAnthony Melton are widely expected to sign with the Warriors, Siegel wrote. A handful of teams at NBA Summer League stated Horford and Melton already have verbal agreements in place with Golden State. Horford leaving Beantown shouldn't be a complete shock, as Celtics president of basketball operations Brad Stevens even admitted that bringing him back was going to be difficult. "I'd say that's unlikely," Stevens replied when asked about Horford returning during a press conference in early July. "But I don't want to speak in absolute terms until an ultimate decision is made. If he were to go and play somewhere else, I think he's an all-time Celtic, a winner, and did everything he could for this organization, not only in the games but also how he impacted our younger players." As a result of the new CBA and its stringent financial penalties, Boston probably can't afford Horford. While the five-time All-Star is far from his prime and nearing retirement, which he's reportedly considered this offseason, he'll command over the vet minimum at the very least. The Celtics already failed to re-sign backup center Luke Kornet this summer as a result of money woes, meaning Horford's departure is all the more likely. But, if anything is working in Boston's favor, it's the fact that restricted free agent Jonathan Kuminga is holding things up for the Warriors. Before Golden State can finalize a deal with Horford, it may have to decide what to do with its 22-year-old wing, who's surely looking for a payday. In addition to the Kuminga debacle, Horford's shocking free agency decision nearly a decade ago could provide Celtics fans with a tad of optimism. Back in 2016, the former Atlanta Hawk surprisingly chose the C's over his old team, even duping legendary NBA insider Adrian Wojnarowski. Another dramatic turnaround isn't out of the question given the volatile nature of free agency, yet as things stand, it seems like Horford won't don the green and white again. Warriors could land guard depth in big Jonathan Kuminga. The Golden State Warriors have had an underwhelming offseason thus far as their fans are still waiting for them to make a move. Golden State's only moves thus far came during the second round of the 2025 NBA Draft when they selected Alex Tui and Will Richard. Of course, the Warriors entered free agency linked to many players, but they failed to sign any of the top names, or any player at all so far. They are still awaiting a decision by restricted free agent Jonathan Kuminga as he decides whether he wants to remain in Golden State or end up with a new team via a sign-and-trade this offseason. It looks more likely that Kuminga will end up being on a new team entering next season, and Sports Illustrated's Grant Mona recently proposed a mock trade that would send him to the Chicago Bulls. In the trade, the Warriors would send Kuminga to Chicago via a sign-and-trade where he would sign a 4-year contract while the Bulls send Ayo Dosunmu and Julian Phillips in return to Golden State. Of course, the Bulls have been linked to Kuminga, with most of the reports being centered around the Warriors' interest in center Nikola Vucevic, but with those talks quieting down, Golden State could instead upgrade their guard depth. For Dosunmu, he is a great scorer and defender who would be a great fit off the bench behind Stephen Curry as the Warriors' new backup point guard, an area they have struggled with over the last few seasons. Phillips would also give the Warriors a solid young scorer who took another jump last season, and he can also play either the shooting guard or small forward positions. While this trade may work well for the Warrior, Marcus Smart's signing proves Warriors need free agency move no one sees coming. Can Golden State take advantage in the buyout market? A number of veteran players have suddenly become available as free agents this offseason, with the Golden State Warriors showing interest but missing out on All-Star guards Damian Lillard and Bradley Beal. Marcus Smart is the latest player to have executed a buyout to become a free agent, with the veteran guard set to sign a 2-year deal with the Los Angeles Lakers. It's a notable and previously unforeseen addition for the Lakers, providing them with a former Defensive Player of the Year who could step in and immediately average over 25 minutes per game next season. Smart may have dealt with injuries over the past 2 seasons, but he does change the complexion of the Lakers if the 31-year-old can return to somewhere near his best. It does beg the question, can the Warriors as a team in a similar tier of the Western Conference get their hands on a surprise player through similar means? Can the Warriors be a player in the buyout market? Having not made a single move since the start of free agency 3 weeks ago, the Warriors still have at least 5 roster spots to fill over the remainder of the offseason. They've subsequently been linked to a number of remaining free agents, most notably Al Horford and DeAnthony Melton, who are expected to sign once Jonathan Kuminga's future is resolved as a restricted free agent. Horford and Melton could certainly become important 25-minute-per-game players for Golden State next season. But beyond that, the free agent market isn't flush with starter-level type pieces that are going to be huge difference makers. The Warriors have been linked to the likes of Malcolm Brogdon, Seth Curry, Ben Simmons, and Trey Lyles among the remaining group of free agents, but none of those are likely to become starters or average beyond 20 minutes per game. Is there someone who's not currently a free agent that surprisingly becomes available through a buyout? It may be considered unlikely, but it's not inconceivable based on the buyouts we've already seen in recent weeks. It's hard to speculate who that might be, but it will almost assuredly be a veteran player on a rebuilding team with an expiring contract. The Washington Wizards are certainly a team to monitor based on their Smart buyout, with a potential on the future of veteran forward Chris Middleton. Golden State no longer have interest in trading for veteran center Nikola Vucevic on a $21.5 million expiring contract, but that could change if the 2X All-Star finalized a buyout with the Chicago Bulls and became a free agent. Whoever it may be, a surprising buyout could help change the Warriors' fortunes this offseason as they look to close the gap between themselves and the tier above them in the West. Warriors predicted to acquire $84 million 6'10" wing for one-time champion Tyler Rourke. July 17, 2025. 6:57 p.m. GMT-3. Warriors predicted to acquire $84 million 6'10" wing for one-time champion Image. The Golden State Warriors have been one of the most successful franchises for the past decade, and for good reason. Keeping together the main core of Stephen Curry, Draymond Green, and Klay Thompson was the biggest key to their success, while making the necessary adjustments when needed. League background. League logo. Watch live and on demand in the NBA app. Luckily, a new trade proposed by Sports Illustrated's Rohan Raman has them bolstering their lineup with the acquisition of a defensive-minded 6'10" wing, Jonathan Isaac. In the hypothetical trade, the Warriors would get Isaac, Jet Howard, and Mo Gay. The Orlando Magic would receive Gueye Santos and Moses Moody, while the Atlanta Hawks would get Goga Bitadze and a 2027 first-round pick. The Warriors built a dynasty off of running Draymond Green out as a small ball 5, but that's a dying strategy in the modern NBA. At 35 years old, it's fair to wonder if the defensive load that Green takes on will catch up with him, Raman said Thursday. Jonathan Isaac would give them insurance against that. Although Isaac's limited offensive game and injury history make him a difficult player to roster on a contender, his defense is still very useful. He's arguably one of the best shot blockers across all forwards, turning in a 100th percentile level BLK percent of 4.1% last season while also posting an elite STL percent of 2.4% last year. As a rebounder, he was one of the best offensive rebounders last season across all forwards with an OREB percent of 10.3% while also grabbing 18.3% of missed FGs from opponents, a 96th percentile level figure. Follow the sporting news on WhatsApp. Isaac hasn't lived up to the hype that he could have been as a bigger wing, but he swarms players on the defensive end. Dealing with injuries all his life has kept him sidelined for the Magic most of his career, but a switch up to the Bay could unleash his full potential.